Hey everyone, I'm Sison, and today we're taking a look at the Sony 24mm F1.4 G Master lens for the Sony E-mount system. Alright, so at the moment I'm on the streets of Indonesia. I actually found some time to film a video because the itinerary that we have is so packed out. But to tell you quickly about the 24mm, I actually filmed this in Taiwan, and like last year, I think it was around October or November, and silly me, I didn't have the microphone properly attached to the camera, so I didn't record any audio. But 6-7 months down the track, I'm finally doing the review again. To quickly tell you about this lens, it's not a G Master lens that shares similar traits with the other ones. This is actually the smallest and the lightest lens in the lineup at the moment. And in saying that, it does have a wide aperture of f1.4, and it is a fixed focal length at 24mm. So if you're using this on a full frame, it won't have any crop factor, but if you are using it on an APS-C size sensor camera like an A6000, the effective focal length will be 36mm, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we're in a more quiet area, I want to quickly show you around the lens itself. So as you can see, it is a 24mm 1.4. The focusing ring is more towards the front of the lens. It is more precise, that's what Sony states as well. And I can actually attest to that because it does feel a bit better when compared to the other lenses when you're using manual focus. Over here is your aperture ring, where A stands for automatic. That's where the camera does the thinking for you to choose the aperture. It has a minimum aperture of f16, and of course the widest it goes is f1.4. Over here you have your click and declick option, where you can just easily turn it on and off. So this is with the aperture on, the clicking on, and you can turn it off for more of a smooth transition between the apertures. Over here you do have your manual focusing switch, where you can change from automatic to manual focus. And over here you do have a custom button which you can customize for different settings in the camera itself. Taking a look at the bottom of the lens, you do have some electronic contacts, so you do have the communication between the lens and the camera, and also you do have a rubber gasket, so it does protect the lens from any dust and moisture. Over here on the front you do have a 67mm filter thread, so it's not going to be as expensive when you get filters for this lens compared to, say, other GM lenses like the 16-35 or the 24-70. But this also does come with a plastic pedal type lens hood. It does have felt lined within, so that actually reduces any reflections from getting inside the lens itself. And of course the lens hood does try to prevent any flare from getting inside the lens itself as well. Okay, so just for a quick comparison, when comparing size, I've gathered a few other GM primes to show you the difference. And while it is no way a direct comparison, people may also be comparing it to, say, the Batis 25mm against this lens. And while the Batis is lighter at 335 grams, its maximum aperture is only f2. Now, I've been using this lens primarily with the A7 III, and it feels very well balanced without being too front heavy. And focusing speed was fairly quick and rarely missed a shot, while not being able to hear a thing whilst focusing. Now, just to give you an idea of the focusing speed, here it is using the center autofocusing point from its minimum focusing distance of 24 centimeters to infinite. For manual focus, while it is fly-by-wire only, it feels more precise in use compared to the other lenses in Sony's lineup. And for those wondering, IAF works perfectly with this lens. Alright, so I'm actually using these lenses, I'm using this lens primarily in Indonesia, Malaysia and Brunei. That's the same with the other lenses that I have at the moment that I'm also reviewing. But in saying that, this lens is pretty much the one I've been using most of the time, just because of the focal length and because it's so light as well. I really enjoy using it. It does weigh about 445 grams, so it doesn't add too much weight to the kit. And unlike the other G Master lenses, it's certainly not as heavy. Even without the lens hood, it's so small. For G Master anyway, it's really my my #1 lens on this trip. Now, I've been using this for pretty much every trip that I've been on, and for good reason. It's just a great travel lens. I can capture vast landscapes and scenes, which is what I love doing, and it's able to retain amazing amounts of detail whether I'm using it with my A7 III or my A7R II. While I haven't used it for astrophotography yet, I can imagine this being a popular lens for just that because of its wide angle focal length and of course its capability of shooting in low light conditions. The bokeh is very smooth, which isn't a familiar trait with wide angle lenses, but there's also some chromatic aberrations that I saw when shooting wide open at f1.4. There isn't so much to hate about this lens, it really is, there's so much to love about it. So all in all, this lens is an amazing piece of glass. It's lightweight, quick to focus. I've been using it a lot when I wasn't reviewing the other lenses. So this was my actual go-to lens just because it's so light and easy to use. I did use it a lot for video as well because I am doing a bit of a vlogging tour around Indonesia, Malaysia and Brunei, which is where I took the lens around. But I didn't use a click and declick aperture ring all that often. I actually declicked the lens just for the video part. And when it came to stills, it wasn't a big deal because I was just easily turning the lens as it was. In terms of focusing speed, it is extremely fast. I didn't have an issue with it. The transitions were nice and smooth. I am using it with the A7 III as well, so just keep that in mind. In terms of distortion, it wasn't really a big issue. That's the same case with vignetting, but either way, you can always correct it in post. In terms of the bokeh, it was nice and smooth, so I would say that's thanks to the 11-bladed aperture system that this lens incorporates. But in saying that, it does have a extremely high price tag. I would say, not because it's just a G Master lens, but in terms of the quality of the images that you're getting, as well as the premium build, it is reflective of the price tag. So if anything, I would highly recommend this lens. I would say save up for it because this is a really nice lens to go with. I really like walking around with this and just taking simple snapshots. I do usually prefer the 35mm focal length, but using the 24 was a good change of pace. But anyway, that's it from me. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel for more Sony lens reviews and tutorials. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more sample photos and photo updates. And don't forget to take a look in the description down below for more information about the lens as well as purchasing links. Because every purchase that comes from my Amazon affiliate links does help me continue making this channel, and it just also helps me support myself as well. Now, until then, happy shooting and thanks for watching. While there's still a big issue, same store, pretty decent. That's the really bad downside. Hello.